Very good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to the live trading webinar with myself, Giles Coughlin, and Paul Sanders.
Good afternoon, Giles. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing? You all right?
I'm great in one of your many screens that you've got up in front of you.
It was just hidden behind another thing. So
That's it. The downside of 6 or 7 screens and 100 open tabs, right?
not quite that bad, but how are you doing? You all right?
I'm good. I'm good. Ready to hit it for another day?
Yeah, ready. Let's go. So the big event that we've got coming up is Trump speaking with Putin between 1 UK time, which is right now, and 3 UK time. So that's going to go over the US Open, and it's straddling the US Open. So once again, we have to watch out for headline-driven news, particularly on the Russia-Ukraine crisis, can heavily impact sentiment. And if that wasn't enough, we've also got fiscal decisions being made in the German parliament, the Bundestag, today at 1:30. Now, fiscal reform measures are expected to be voted through. So if they're not voted through, that would be a surprise, and we might see some equity markets selling. So just to be aware of that dynamic going on. We've also got Israel and their attack on Hamas early morning overnight. That was in response to President Trump saying that if Hamas is not going to hand over the hostages, then he said there will be hell to pay. Well, hell is being paid, as it were, symbolically, through these attacks. And Israel checked with the US before they made these attacks, and they've got the green light from the White House. So their whole idea is that these attacks will force Hamas back to the negotiation table, but it does sour sentiment. Despite all those things going on, Europe started quite positive early in the morning. We are seeing sentiment sour here. It could just be something as simple as
coming up in under 10 minutes time on the US calendar. We do have industrial production monthly change for February. That's seen rising 0.2%. Capacity utilization, that's seen at 77.8%. Manufacturing output, that's seen it growing by 0.3%.
It could be just something as simple as the weight of risk is becoming very heavy. So that may be why we're seeing equity markets selling off. We're seeing the VIX rise. Crucially, VIX is staying under the 23 level. Very great barometer for risk. And you can see when the VIX rises above that 23 level, you often see sharp selling in the S&P 500, which is overlaid here. So with that return back under 23, that's been allowing equity markets to pick up. And we've seen this bounce from Friday into Monday, and now we're seeing a slight pullback as we speak. The broad outlook remains buying the dip here. We've got the S&P 500 breaking that daily trend line, that 4-hour trend line as well that Najam pointed out. This is strong support. So any falls down to the S1, S2 pivot, we'd be expecting dip buyers unless sentiment has fundamentally changed. And to help us with that, we'll use the VIX. If the VIX starts going back above 23 again, then this might be a little bit more, with a bit more strength to it. So we just got to keep that in mind. And of course, we have the Federal Reserve meeting tomorrow. So that makes it tricky. You might just see sort of cagey, uncertain, choppy trade today as a result. Now, I was looking to buy in early in the European session. You can see at 10 a.m. Trying to see if I can run it up high to see if this continuation carried on. But with those sellers, you can see trapping all the buyers. That was the signal for me to definitely get out. And so I closed out my initial long position, and now I'm going to be reassessing and looking for
an update from the Czech central bank
to move forward.
Seidler says would like to hold interest rates steady at next week's policy meeting, according to Bloomberg.
I've got a $20,000 target to achieve on this 300,000 account. So got to get busy, got to get working to it. So working positions in as per usual, and then I'll let you know when I'm taking trades on my live account versus trading the account to get it passed. The rhythm to be aware of is we've had a rhythm change in the last sort of 15 minutes. You can see we've just broken through these lows, trapped all these buyers. That's a rhythm change which is favoring selling for now. Okay, but we are still in this range. We've dropped under that value area low from yesterday, so we're potentially opening outside of value with a potential bias to the downside, but we have those fundamental risks that are going on with Putin and Trump meeting and the meeting in the Bundestag. That should be fine. That meeting in the Bundestag is expected to go through, and those fiscal reforms are expected to be made. So the risk is if they're not made, if something doesn't go through, that's when it will become relevant for us. Key levels to be aware of straight away here. You can see strong sellers coming in through this value area, okay? And they've trapped all these buyers here. So with sentiment just souring into the open, I would happily sell off if I got back up to this level. But I'm just going to see how markets go. But it wouldn't be unreasonable to take a little sell just off that standard deviation if we get markets moving that far up, and I'll just put my stop up there. So if I move back up to that sort of 5662, I'll be looking at moving into a sell position and see if this can carry on lower. Major levels to be looking for are this candle here is now very significant. If you look at all those sellers that are coming, so 800 contracts, as long as we stay below that level, that's favoring more selling. If we get back above the 5667, then buyers are definitely back on. Okay, so this is a very important level we've got here. We'll be monitoring that as we go through. You can see on the hourly chart, we've pulled up into the developing value area high. We've then moved lower, and you can see on the hourly chart, these sellers have trapped these buyers. So we've got trapped buyers on the hourly chart. Does make a very attractive sell at the 5661. So I'm looking to take that. And you can see you've got this developing value area low here at the 5640, as well as the confirmed value area from the previous week. So heavy support here and strong resistance above. And at the moment, the rhythm is favoring more selling in the near term. So that's the direction to be focusing on as we head into the US Open. And it's, is the Trump Putin, are they going to get a deal? If they do get a deal, then look for strong, fast buying. If they don't, then, we could easily see more equity markets selling. So just bear that in mind as we head into the session. 5662, I think I can take it a little bit lower actually. I'll just take it here if I get into the 5660. That's not unreasonable. Important areas, it's this candle here is very important. The developing value area is very important. And these areas here are very important on the hourly chart. On the 15-minute chart, apart from those areas, the other strong areas to be looking at is these sellers from earlier in the session. So if we can get back above 5667, then we are looking at potential more buyers coming in. If you look at the Globex Open, we can see that inventory levels are negative at the Globex Open. So markets have been preferring to sell than buy. Okay, that's been the initial reaction. So sellers are having the upper hand from the Globex Open, and then we'll see how markets do in the US Open, which is coming up in 18 minutes. So that's what we're going to be looking for. We've got a little bit of time before we get going, 18 minutes. That's the major thing to be looking at. So this 15-minute candle is the important one to be looking at as we get going. Oh yeah, let's have a quick look at the big picture outlook. Big picture outlook, daily pivot point just sitting above price. We've got a key resistance area which we've just sold off. And any back to there, we expect buying opportunities. Be aware, we might see cagey trading because it's Fed Reserve meeting tomorrow. So it could be a bit choppy out there. That's basically what I'm looking at today. Paul, what's grabbing your attention? How are you seeing things? Anything on your radar? Any of those narratives getting your attention? Any areas you're looking at?
Not really. Just waiting for Trump. Waiting for the action to develop. Have you rolled your contracts over, by the way, or not yet?
Not yet. Not yet. I've
okay.
Rolled over the micros, but not the standard lots on the E-mini. Have you?
I have, yeah. I just to see a notification about it this morning, because we are approaching the end. A couple weeks away from the end of the quarter, right?
Yeah, I my micros because it sort of said that there was more volume in the front contract, but it didn't say. In fact, if I sign in and out, it might give me a fresh notification, so I'll just see.
It probably will.
It may just have been a. Right, let's have a look.
Just coming up to 1 minute now to the US data industrial production. Again, that's seen rising 0.2%. Capacity utilization, that's seen at 77.8%. And manufacturing output, that's seen rising 0.3% in February.
The live is the same time tomorrow because the FOMC is going to be coming out at 6 UK because of the clock change. So we'll be all right. We'll have the live session the same. No jam.
What's the current interest rate probability pricing for the rate decision tomorrow? Let me check. You probably know off the top of your head, but
it's about 2 point something for this
10
year.
seconds.
In terms of
so
rate cuts. So we're at 4.375.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, end of the year, 2 point something in terms of cuts.
Yeah, so no action. Okay.
No. It's going to be very interesting.
0.7%, so above the expected 0.2% there on industrial production. For manufacturing output, that's up 0.9% above the expected 0.3%, and capacity utilization 133.3%, way above the expected 77.8% and above the analyst forecast range.
Okay, let's just check that. It's not normally a market mover, that, but there's a bit of upside. Capacity utilization, look at that, that's huge. I wonder if that's tariff driven. Just going to wait for a little bit more headlines on that.
Yeah, interesting.
Right, I'm going to sell that spike and just see where we go from here.
Okay.
Just happy to get in short and see what happens. I'm going to be seeing what happens around this 5668.
Just going over that data once again. So industrial production, that was above the expected 0.2% and came in at 0.7%. The prior was revised down to 0.3% from 0.5%. Manufacturing output, that was up 0.9%, above the expected 0.3%. The prior decline of 0.1%, that was actually revised up to 0.1%. And for capacity utilization,
here we go.
That was 78.2%, up from the downwardly revised 77.7%.
I'm wondering if that capacity utilization is front-running tariffs.
Interesting. What is that?
So it just could be that there's more utilization ahead of the tariffs coming. So everyone's trying to rush through their orders now at current prices and use raw materials at current prices. So that everyone's working double, triple shifts just to try to get a stockpile of goods before they're really hit with the.
You know, it's interesting you say that because my housemate the other night, it was funny. He comes home with there's 6 bottles of wine sitting on the table.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, did you bring your wine up from the basement to the kitchen?" And he's
Don't
like,
tell
"No."
me they're French.
Wait, no. Well, he likes European wine, but he was like, "Oh, so why do you have extra 6 bottles of wine?" Because he doesn't drink wine that much. And he's like, "Well, because the tariffs are coming and you know that sort of thing." And he was like trying to, and I was like, "That is not really gonna." There's so much that's gonna happen, so much negotiation. But it's interesting. You're right. People do front run. Their actions change based on what they believe will happen. So.
Yeah, and definitely, if you imagine
commentary from Fitch, it says blanket US tariffs on China may weigh on the global economic growth and oil demand, increasing oversupply, adding to pressure on oil prices. It says the US-Canada trade war and additional sanctions on Russia and Iran will increase oil market volatility.
And if you imagine you're working in factory production and you're a purchase manager, and you're thinking to yourself, "Hang on, my job will be on the line if I get this wrong." Because someone will say to them, "You knew the tariffs were coming. Why didn't you
do anything?" Right.
Do anything. So there's a sense in which if everyone's doing it, at least you're not the outlier. Whereas if you're the one guy that didn't do anything.
Yep.
That pressure comes there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is like it's like the toilet paper during COVID.
Yeah, that was mad. Yeah.
Najam, curious, do you have any feedback for us on the interest rate tracker? Anything else you'd want to see? I know you do, a lot of trading different instruments. Anything you want to see? Anything you don't like? Anything to improve?
5646.
We're actually rebuilding the back end out now, the tracker and the calendar, so that we can be on our own servers and add a lot more kind of features in the future. So that's all kind of happening in the background. What about the calendar? Any thoughts on the calendar? Anything you'd like? I mean, obviously the one thing is to make it faster. We are working on that. But besides that, the other thing I was thinking, Giles, for the tracker that would be really helpful is how like a commentary comes out or some news comes out and the interest rate tracker will move, but the
Yeah.
problem is that you don't actually see over what time frame it moved. So there's like no historical record. So
Yeah.
let's say something comes out and it's like, oh, I wonder if Bailey moved the market on, or you see he moved the market on XYZ comment. You don't actually see, unless you're right there at the time, you don't
Yeah.
know if the interest rate markets respond to this or not.
It's a good
I
point.
guess you can keep track of that day to day because you see like the day to day fluctuations.
But the problem is what you'll do is you might see like that, but you won't day to day necessarily go through, okay, that's Canada, that's BOE. One way you could get, what would be useful is say you take this and you've got
Seeing remarks from Israeli military says it recently attacked an artillery in southern Syria.
say you've got like this moves more than 2.25% from the
Yeah.
prior week.
Yeah.
You could have an alarm set up, couldn't you?
That's interesting.
Do
And
you
would
see what I
do
mean?
anything
So-
like day to
because-
day?
Well, just have it on, because if you've got the front decision, sometimes it can be a really important data point that doesn't affect the front decision, but it does affect what's going to be happening in June, July, August significantly. So if we'd had like some kind of alert when that differentiate moves more than 25 basis points, that would be worth it. Here we go. Just check the VIX still moving higher. Equity futures. Wouldn't be surprised if we found dip buys here. So just got to be aware of that. Move lower. Sellers there. Key area. Delta. Let's have a look. Move lower. Can maybe look for some sellers. That 72.1. Let's have a look. Okay. Opening. Strong sell volume at the open. Let's see. Is in line with the rhythm before. Taking control there. Just go with a quick sell there. See if I can just get a quick move down here, down to the 5649.
And we're off.
We're off. All right, there we go. Got those sellers trapping those buyers. Just a quick move up into that area. See if I can get a quick sell. Buyers stepping back in. Sellers still holding. More sellers trying to come in. Okay, just going to see if I can run another position down through this one now. That's nice. That's what we want to see on that 5-minute trapping those guys there. Not a bad target. Let's just see if I'll trail this on the 5-minute. I think this last position. Got 15-minute. That's nice. So the sentiment is quite negative. We've got Putin potentially on the wires, so that's running lower.
Nice one, Giles.
Right, I'm taking that off and I'm going to re-enter if I get back up to the 5651. We are here, Tuesday, March the 18th, and a positive day, plus $700 on the $300,000 account I'm trying to pass, and positive on the live accounts trade. So how did that all work out? Well, started all looking to buy into the dip from European early morning, because he bought in at a nice level, holding, trying to see if that was a recovery, and then closed out just as we head into the US Open with those sellers trapping all those buyers. Okay, that's my signal to get out. With that being done, I was then looking for opportunities to go short, because these sellers had trapped those buyers, so price moved up, sold, took a short, and then when we had these sellers here trapping these buyers, it was just clear that shorts were on. So took 3 shorts, took them out, short succession, 1, 2, 3, quick trades, then took 2 other trades with the momentum that was clearly moving lower, a couple of shorts, and then tried a long, and this is where my trouble started for today. So tried a long from this value area and bought in another long when these buyers trapped these sellers here, looking for this to return back up to the VWAP. Had a third position in at this other value area low, which happy to buy into. Could see absorption going on, so you can see that on the front contract very, very clearly, which is price moving, making lower lows even as the delta's making higher lows. So the buyers are absorbing the sellers. So even though the selling and even though it's negative delta, that absorption gave me confidence to build in a final fourth position. Just as we failed to break out, still saw the absorption going on, bought in, and then took all those 4 positions off just as we moved back up to the value area low. Point of control on the front contract, you can see it was here, and gave it a chance to see if I could break above that point of control and above those sellers. Couldn't do it, obviously, so just took profit just as you started to see it weakening, pricing move back lower. We may see these chaps subsequently trapped in it move on, which would be great, be fantastic. But in the back of my mind, we've also got Putin and Trump on the telephone, and they've been on the call for hours. So yeah. Who knows what's coming out of that. So net summary, plus 700 for the day. So yeah, a nail biter. But okay, upwards and onwards onto tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Nice work, really good work today, Giles. We that was a good couple trades, and you got yourself out of that long. It was nice work. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
I think the lesson for me is just don't just buy. Don't try to catch a falling knife, which is what I was doing here, you see.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
even if I just bought in there and scaled in, it would have been a much easier to get out than having had the first position in there. So it's like, just don't get, oh, this is a nice area to go long from. Just wait for a confirmation.
Right, everybody.
Take care. See you tomorrow, folks. Bye.
See you tomorrow. Bye.